Hi there, and welcome back to another video. I'm Kelsey, and if you're new here, this channel is all about art, oil painting, and my journey to become a full-time artist. I really believe that we rise by lifting others, and so today I wanted to share with you some tips that have fundamentally changed my life and my approach to my artistic practice. And while we do that, I will be incorporating one of those tips and branching out a little bit and working on this still life with wax pastels. It has some pretty vibrant shadows, and overall it was an incredibly exciting piece to work on. I am really super proud of it, and I can't wait to share it with you. So my first tip is to practice as often as you can, but to be intentional about it. Figure out what your weak points are and work at improving them. I really believe that if you pick one specific subject, say landscapes, and you only ever paint landscapes, your technique is going to be limited to what you've learned doing that subject. But if you branch out, you try painting still lifes, you try painting portraits, you're going to learn all of these different ways of working that you didn't know about before, and your technique when you go back to paint landscapes is going to improve because you're going to have this different body of knowledge in your brain and different techniques that you've picked up along the way to draw from. And I know that practicing on your own is limiting at times, so one thing that I've been doing personally is to take online art classes at New Masters Art Academy. They're a fine art sort of version of Skillshare. They're an online art school focused really on a traditional academic kind of art education, and I've really enjoyed the structure that's given me. I enjoy completing the assignments. I feel like it's homework, which I actually need to keep myself accountable. And practicing as often as you can is best manifested in a daily drawing or painting practice. That's not always achievable for everyone, but generally, the more time you sincerely put into doing something, the faster you're going to improve. Having a daily art practice, be that sketching every day, even when you're busy, even for just 5 minutes, and painting when you have a few hours of time, maybe a few days a week, is a great jumping off point to developing your skills and really putting in those hours to achieve a level of mastery that you want. My second tip is to let go of the idea that everything you make needs to be good. If you follow tip number 1, you're going to make a lot of art. A lot of that art will probably not be good. This is not a bad thing. You need to allow yourself to make bad art. Accept the fact that some paintings are going to be learning experiences and not masterpieces. This is the same way with cooking. My boyfriend is a baker, and he recently attempted to make croissants for the first time, and it turned out horribly. It just didn't work right. And he was really upset and disheartened by this, but he is a great baker. I love the food that he makes. It's been an absolute delight to live with him during this pandemic and to have the kitchen be this place of experimentation and joy. And one thing that I was doing to try and cheer him up was to impart the same tip onto him and to tell him that if you can just get one piece of knowledge from this experience, if you can take one thing away that you can use to improve next time, that experiment was a success. Even if it didn't taste good, even if it turned out horribly, if you can just take one thing out of it that you can use to improve your work, or to, one thing that you can say, I won't do this next time, or one thing you can say that I'll do this better next time, then that was a success. And having the mentality that everything needs to be a masterpiece is going to put enormous pressure on you to perform, and that pressure often means you won't start at all. Start. Be bad at it. It's okay to do something just because you enjoy it, even if you aren't good at it. When I started this YouTube channel, I knew that I wasn't going to be good at it at first. I still don't think I'm very good at it, actually, but I'm showing up. I'm accepting that, okay, this video does not have to be a masterpiece. I just need to practice. And if there is one thing that I can take from this experience and apply next time, as just a piece of knowledge, a small improvement, then that will be a success. And acknowledging that for every video I make, I get a little bit better. I improve just slightly. And that's also true for lots of paintings that I make. I have noticed a significant improvement in my work over time, even if some pieces are successes and some aren't. But you need to just accept that you're going to make a lot of bad paintings or bad drawings along the way during your art career, and this is going to happen to you always. I mean, forever. You are never going to have a time in your life where everything that you make for years and years is going to be a masterpiece. That's just not how that works. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think there is a lot of value in doing things that you are bad at, and I wish society didn't put such a pressure on us to be really good from the get-go, because I think that translates into such an enormous pressure to be good at something right away when you aren't, and it really disincentivizes people from starting new things and being okay with the fact that they're a beginner, and you don't always come out of the gate being really good at something, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get better. It just means that that one time you weren't that good, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to be bad. That being said, I often fall into this trap of projecting my mood onto the quality of the painting or the drawing, and sometimes when I sleep on something and take a look at it a week later, I figure out that it's not as trash as I originally thought, and I manage to salvage it. And my third tip is to not be afraid of experimenting with different subjects, mediums, etc. Don't feel like you need to box yourself in and create a brand right away. Your style will come to you naturally and develop as you practice. You should paint what you're interested in, and paint what you need to paint what you're interested in better. As someone who intends to make content creation and oil painting and art my full-time gig someday, I know all too well the importance of having some kind of cohesion to your work. But I really want to suggest that you guys resist the urge to stifle yourself creatively for the sake of a good Instagram feed or the sake of a really consistent portfolio. Your work will improve because of it, and your honesty and openness will be appreciated by your audience, or at least the audience that you actually really want to keep and that care about you. I have been going through a tough time with my work lately because I have fallen into this trap of really wanting to have a style right away, and I believe that a style really does come to you naturally. You can try to deliberately construct it, be like, okay, like, I want my work to look like this eventually, and here are the steps that I need to take to get there. But I think that never practicing outside of that style, outside of your subject matter, really does stifle you artistically, and it hinders your progress. And I think if you practice painting lots of different things, you will discover that you can paint basically anything. When you branch out and you try these different techniques, you figure out how to paint metal, how to paint wood, how to paint people, and having that more holistic skill set is far more advantageous for you creatively than boxing yourself in and choosing a subject from the get-go and sticking with that forever. You'll feel more open and able to really realize your artistic vision in ways that you probably never anticipated being able to do before. The fourth tip that I have for you today is to document your process. This is definitely one of those things where you should do as I say and not as I do, because I want to start doing this more, but I haven't been fully able to pick up the habit yet. Basically, I want you to take lots of notes about your process and your workflow to help you figure out what's working and what's not. This is sort of linked to tip number 2, where you should let go with the idea that everything needs to be good. But when you notice that a painting has totally failed, I want you to try to deconstruct what went wrong. What was your mood like when you started the painting? Did you make a sketch or do an underpainting, or did you jump into it right away? How would you have improved the composition knowing what you know now? and where you missing a certain color that you really needed, a kind of brush that you really needed to execute that certain thing. You should also do the reverse. So take lots of notes and reflect when a piece does go really well. And if you do this for long enough, I bet you'll notice some patterns that you didn't before that will help you identify the factors that lead to success most often for you. For me, recording my process for videos like these allow me to reflect on my workflow while I edit, often hours worth of footage. It becomes really easy to say, yep, at 3 minutes and 45 seconds, I had a complete breakthrough that made this piece one of the best that I've made in months. Or I messed up beyond repair at the 6-minute mark, or things like that, etc. It helps me specifically identify what went wrong so I can change my behavior in the future. I think reflection is a really important part of a creative practice and life in general. It's really valuable to say that, okay, like, take a step back and figure out, where did I go wrong here? How can I improve? I think self-improvement is a thing that I'll always be really passionate about. I really want to be a lifelong learner, and so I think that reflection is a really important part of identifying what areas of yourself you should improve and what skills in my artistic practice I need to develop still. So I've discussed this a lot, but I don't like the way that I paint trees. So I have been working a lot at sketching trees, painting trees, just, in a scrap piece of oil painting paper that I would probably throw away. And as I worked on this piece, I figured out that I was actually pretty bad at drawing glass with oil pastels, with wax pastels. And that's something that I really need to work on and improve if I'm going to try and do an oil paint version of this piece. That's basically all that I wanted to say today, so I will leave you with some music for the rest of this time lapse, but please let me know down in the comments whether or not you appreciate these more chatty draw with me videos, or if you just prefer music, or if you just want the cool ASMR content of the pastels and pencil against the paper. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. I post videos like this every single week, and I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you have an amazing day, and I wish you nothing but the best for the future. All right, I'll see you guys later.